A thing of beauty is a joy forever. And that's how I feel about Jane Campion's film Bright Star, based around the life of John Keats and his relationship with Fanny Braun, and starring Ben Whishaw and Aussie Abbie Cornish. And it's a really beautiful, really beautiful, really beautiful movie. It's really beautiful. And I do highly recommend it. That said, I do think it's a bit of an acquired taste. I've tried to sit down and watch it with a few people who haven't wanted to keep going with it. They've given up after like 20 minutes. They're like, I just don't think this is for me now. I'm like, okay, fine. But I know myself and my mother loved it. I was actually surprised Mum liked it. I was a bit worried that it might be too slow moving and too quiet and I don't know, too dull perhaps for her, but she really enjoyed it, which is good because she almost always loves costume dramas, so hooray. But I just think the sensibility and the tone of the film just fit very nicely with the story that's being portrayed, and I think it fits with the feel of Keats's poetry as well. So like in a lyrical artistic sense, I think it all makes sense that was the choice that they made for the style of film that was presented, and I just think it's really lovely and heartfelt without being like, nothing is, I didn't feel anything was overt in it, and nothing was really ever said that, you know, couldn't already be sensed in the facial expressions and the physical choices made by the actors, and just the way in which scenes were painted in terms of the cinematography and the music and the lighting. And I just, yeah, words weren't wasted in the film, which I really appreciated. And it's kind of like why I liked the movie, if you've seen The New World. I really should remember who directed that, but I can't. Terrence, what's his face? Anyway, he directed it, and Colin Farrell's in it, and it's sort of a take on Pocahontas. But anyway, I do recommend that, but again, that's a very acquired taste, I think. But I just really appreciated the subtlety of this film, and the performances were amazing as well. And it essentially just follows John Keats and his relationship with Fanny Braun over the course of, I think, just one summer, like the 1 year or so that they knew each other prior to his death. And I mean, it kind of weaves in his, like, some family trouble and his lack of success, I guess, as a poet at that time, because really almost all his success came posthumously after his death, so he wasn't doing very well financially or critically at the time. And yeah, it kind of just shows the difference between the two personalities as well, because Keats in his own way was sort of reserved and very interior, and Fanny liked a good chat, and she loved a joke, and she was sort of extroverted, I guess. She liked to make her own costumes and her own clothes. She was artistically minded in that sense, and I just think it's interesting seeing those two very distinct personalities connect and seeing how their relationship takes off. But again, nothing's done in an obvious way in the movie, and I just appreciate that so much, because even in my costume dramas that I love, and there are many of them, things usually follow a fairly standard fashion, and you can kind of predict how things will play out. You can sort of predict the sort of dialogue that will go on between characters, and you can see how it's going to be constructed in a filmic form, because you've seen costume dramas before. So I think that this was quite refreshing and took a different route a lot of the time, and I just appreciated that. Performance-wise, I think that Abbie Cornish and Ben Whishaw did brilliant jobs. Abbie's emotions were just completely on display and raw the entire time, and it was really amazing to watch. And I think she very effectively captured the feeling of someone who's young and in love, but is young, so the decisions that they make are often impulsive. They can be quite self-centered and selfish in their feelings and how they're displaying it, and it's like the world's revolving around them, and all their emotions and everything is so very important. And I think that she captured that very well. Of course, if you've seen the movie, you'll know what I mean when I say her breakdown scene towards the end is gut-wrenching, and it's awkward to watch because it's so raw. And you get I know when I saw it in the cinema for the first time, you get the sense that you want to laugh, or you'll burst into tears, or you might do what I did and kind of like make like a sound like and then start bawling from that. So I sort of laughed, cried. I didn't know what else to do because it just felt so very, very real. So props to her for doing that. That amazed me. It's a very, very honest moment. And Ben, I've got a bit of a crush on Ben. I love him. I think he's just a beautiful actor, and I also like that he's very unconventional choice as an actor a lot of the time, especially as a leading man. And so I think it worked very well for Keats, because he didn't, even though he's a romantic poet, he didn't have to be this sweeping, heroic, Byronic figure, you know, walking around looking swish with his coat and being all debonair and charismatic and things. He wasn't like that, and yeah, I just think that Ben was a really nice fit for that character. And again, I think his chemistry with Abby was great and unconventional and unexpected and just different to watch. And I appreciated how different this film was to a lot of other costume dramas that you can sit around and enjoy. So I think that if you like that period, if you like intimate, quiet, subtle movies exploring just this one relationship, and you like all things beautiful and lyrical and poetic and things, I do recommend checking this movie out. But as I said, I think it is a bit of an acquired taste. Maybe people might find it a little bit boring, but I do hope that some of you can check it out if you can get your hands on it, because I really like it. And yeah, I do recommend it, and I give it a solid 5 stars out of 5 stars for Bright Star by Jane Campion. Also, if you can get your hands on Keats' poetry and letters, I think it's a great thing to have. I think I've got the same edition that Lara has. I went out and bought the anthology that is called Bright Star, and it's got like a painting that's reminiscent of this shot here on the front of it, and it's got his letters to Fanny, and they're actually kind of endearing because they're so, I don't know, they're just so representative of young love, and he was so jealous all the time and like freaking out that she was going out with other people, and then every other letter he was apologizing for being jealous, but then he was getting jealous again. It's like, it was adorable and funny and just really sweet. So yeah, also get the poems and letters if you can, and read them before and after watching the movie. And yeah, it's just very overwhelmingly great to imbue yourself in this stuff. A very interesting love story, I think, and some great performances. So yeah, 5 stars for Bright Star.